You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey everyone. I know there's been a lot going on this week, and maybe I have neglected to keep you guys updated on certain things. But just know that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and wanted to give you the update on the Aquaman scarf. It wasn't meant to be an Aquaman scarf, but that's what it became when I chose orange and green. So that's done. Working on the hat now that'll go with it. Be ready for Christmas. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. It is December 15th. We are getting remarkably close to Christmas. We got a lot of news to cover. We got an interesting story going on. I'm going to do one bit of news, and then I have a guest, but I want to do this first because, hey, cool, how you doing? But this was asked of me last week for an update on the second season of Legend of Vox Machina. So we've got an update. A trailer dropped today for the second season, and it will hit on Prime Video January 20th of next year. So just, month and a half away, we're going to get the second season. Now, if you're not familiar with the Legend of Vox Machina, that was the first season of Critical Role, the YouTube series that does live play Dungeons and Dragons, with a bunch of top-notch voice actors that include the Dungeon Master Matt Mercer, as well as Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, Sam Riegel, Liam O'Brien, Ashley Johnson, Taliesin Jaffe, and Marisha Ray. So you can check out the trailer over on YouTube. And I did enjoy the first season quite a bit. It was put together by probably the highest grossing Kickstarter in history. It had originally been for MST 3000, and Critical Role passed them. So I don't know of another Kickstarter that's made as much. I mean, they made a couple million on to put this cartoon together, and then it kept getting bigger and bigger and expanded. More Scanlan in Scanlan's hands, yes. This was a pretty big deal when it came out, and Amazon ended up picking it up and running it. So we'll see what season 2 looks like, and if there'll be any more after that. So nowadays it seems like everything's being canceled or removed, and so it's happy to see another season of Vox Machina. Wait, I think I've been canceled. All right, guys. So we've got a lot to discuss having to do with Warner Brothers again and Discovery, some of which was the news that broke yesterday, and some of it has to do with their cost-cutting measures. And I'm going to bring in producer Kyle to talk about this. Hello, Kyle.
Hello.
And yes, you could absolutely commission a Jane hat. I will have to look up the exact setups, but
shoot me a text. I need a Jane hat.
I think I can make that happen. So
I don't even need it for this Christmas. You can get to me for next year. I don't really care. I just need one in my life.
All right, let me see what I can do. So it's browns and oranges and tans, if I remember it correctly. But
I think it's like orange and yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a pattern for it.
And I think the pattern is you have to do kind of a crappy job, because that hat's seen some stuff.
Yes. Yes, it has. But that's got the flaps that come down, doesn't
Right.
it?
It's got the ear flaps with the little ties down here that you're supposed to be able to tie under your.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got the pom pom at the top. I think it's technically what you'd call a toque if you were Canadian, but I've never heard it called anything else. But also, yeah, it's been through some stuff, so it's lost all its integrity. Much like Jane, ironically.
I will see what I can do. That's a pattern I have not made yet, but I can give it a shot. So, all right. First thing we need to cover the breaking news from yesterday. Now, originally you sent me some links and said, "Hey, we should talk about this on the show tomorrow." And I'm like, "Sure." And then the world collapsed. If you're a DC fan,
It's true.
yes, yeah. I can definitely do the main hat. It's the ear flaps that will be new, but I'm sure I can work that out.
I think you do them and then you add them on after.
I think so too. So
I think they're just like, I think what you do is you just make washcloths and sew them onto the sides.
Yep. But I will see what I can do about that. Well, while we haven't gotten the full plan yet of what James Gunn and Peter Safran are doing, what we have heard is that the first project they're going to be working on is going to be a new Superman movie. Gunn is going to be writing the script. It's going to be set with a younger version of Superman, which means that Henry Cavill is out as the Man of Steel. Triple B says, "Dan, I'm mad now. The DCU is not letting Cavill play Superman. What the hell?" I've been giving this a lot of thought. And I'm heartbroken for Henry. I know he loves this character. He had just been told that he was back, but that was from the previous regime. That wasn't from Gunn and Safran. And I think there's a lot going on here. You have to remember that when he got the role, he was 29 or 30 years old. And they were going to do these, he's been Superman for almost a decade. But in a lot of ways, he's been Superman in the same way that Paul McGann was Doctor Who.
I was going to say, in the same way that I'm a supermodel?
Yes. Look deep into your eyes and say that I'm a supermodel. Yes. Yes, that was a replacement reference.
I'm dead. I'm done.
So what Gunn and there's a couple things going on here. Number one is Gunn and Safran are starting something new. They're supposed to be doing a 10-year plan. And do you start a 10-year plan with a 39-year-old Superman? Or do you start it like they did with Man of Steel with a 29-year-old Superman? So that when you get 5 and 10 years in, he's younger. All these characters have been around in this universe for a while now. It's not Gunn and Safran's universe. So that's the first thought, is that they're going to shift towards younger actors, maybe less known actors, because it gives you a chance to build a universe with these actors to be around a while. Because you're looking at it over at Marvel, where you're seeing a lot of these actors leaving. Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, they've all walked away at this point. And you don't want that to happen. And, maybe Henry would get tired after a while. Maybe at some point he doesn't want. Look at Dave Bautista saying, "Well, I don't want to go shirtless anymore. And he's leaving his Drax." Well, you want to be able to build this universe around them. And the second thing is, Warner Brothers right now is all about cost cutting. They're trying to save some money. And the best way to do that is to cast a unknown up and coming Superman, to a long-term contract rather than bringing back a extremely popular Henry Cavill and an extremely popular Gal Gadot, who is going to cost $20 million for the next movie. You know, where you can turn around and go get this up and coming young actor and get them to commit to a 5-7 picture deal, which is the norm now, and you can get them on a decent budget. And I think that's part of what they're doing, is that Warner Brothers has a cash problem. They just lost their ties to Legendary Pictures, which funded a lot of these superhero movies. So they just lost part of their backing. They're trying to scramble to make money. And I think the biggest thing they have to do is they have to cut costs. And one of the places you can do that is with your actors.
So something that's important to remember here too is that in a movie that's going to cost $100 million, Henry Cavill's salary would be taking up half. Right? Half of the budget of your entire movie is one guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's hugely important to remember.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's been this rumor going around for however long now that they're going to reboot the DC universe, which I don't think is a bad idea. The further you can get away from the mistake that was releasing the Snyder cut, and that was the Joss Whedon cut, and the mistakes that have been made over the last several years, the better off you are. And we had a long conversation about this, about how I think you need to reset the universe. How do you reset the Superman universe, Dan? What have they not told in a really long time?
They're not doing the origin story.
Right. You don't need to do the origin story, but they haven't since Smallville done Teenage Superman. So now you cast someone to play Superman at the same age or about that Sony cast Tom Holland to play Spider-Man. Right? Now you can sign him up for a 6-picture deal and have him jumping all over and crossing all over. And by the time they're done, they'll be the same age Henry Cavill is now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a brilliant idea, to find a young actor, right? To find someone who you can make the face of your franchise when they're young, and build the world around them rather than trying to build the world around the character necessarily.
Yeah. I agree with the JD that jumping right into Justice League was part of the problem. That Zack Snyder had a vision, but it was a vision that was much darker than we're used to for a DC universe. It worked for Watchmen. It didn't work as well for that. I understand Triple B not having faith in DC, but I think at this point you don't try not to have faith in DC. Try to have faith in James Gunn. Also, it sounds to me like, and this is kind of what they did with the Batman, is that they are kind of doing Earth 1, which took Superman back to him first arriving in Metropolis. That's kind of where I think they're going to do this. And if you couldn't do this with Henry Cavill and Amy Adams and Lawrence Fishburne, you're bringing in a younger cast. You're bringing in, and what works usually with Superman is you do these no-name people. Nobody knew Brandon Routh. Nobody knew Christopher Reeves. And I think as long as Gunn comes in and gets a good director and tells a good story, then I think you're going to be fine.
So this is the question I've been asking people, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
You can have Henry Cavill as Superman, or you can have a new Superman in a movie where they're bringing in cameos of Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling and I can't think of his John Cryer, who was in Superman 3, and they're bringing in other actors that are associated with this character and making it a new world where all of these people have already existed. Which would you rather have?
I would rather have them start from scratch on all of them. I look at what they did with the Batman, and I'm thinking, okay, let's do that with Superman. Let's do that with Wonder Woman. Let's make their own little corners of the universe. So you find somebody to come in and do Superman, you find someone to do Wonder Woman, and then you, as you build these universes, you kind of give them other characters. You get the street level characters over here. You get the mythological characters over there. You get the more cosmic characters or the more big powered characters over with Superman. So Martian Manhunter pops up in Superman. The Question shows up in Batman. Wonder Woman gets Hercules or whatever, Ares. So
my thing is this, and this is why I was asking the question that way, right? We have to accept that they're going a different direction, and so that Henry Cavill is out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem. But we also know the kind of movie James Gunn makes. We've seen 3 Guardians movies, and there's a 4th on the way, technically.
Yes.
2 movies and a Christmas special. We've seen The Suicide Squad. We've seen the other kind of movies he makes. His movies are reference heavy. They're also a very good balance of action and comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you bring back Tom Welling as Superman. I'm saying Tom Welling plays generic FBI agent, and the kid who plays Superman goes, "You look familiar." Right? Like, it's giving the little nuggets to the long-term fans while telling their own story. I think the idea of just because Henry Cavill is out, we need to be worried or we need to be up in arms about this is selling James Gunn entirely too short.
Yes. And to your point, let's also keep in mind that James Gunn is really good friends with, and he brings all his friends into movies. He's really good friends with Michael Rosenbaum.
Mm-hmm. That's why I immediately went to the Smallville reference and not Dean Cain.
Yeah, no, we're never going to see Dean Cain.
Yeah, but we could see Terry Hatcher. Like, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. No. Well, Dean Cain showed up in the Supergirl series, and then he kind of went off the deep end.
Triple B, that's not entirely true.
Gunn and DC screwed Cavill because he stepped away from The Witcher to play Superman. Now he's not playing either. It depends on the reports you want to believe. A lot of people are saying that Cavill stepped away from The Witcher because he disagreed where they were taking that character. He is a huge fan of the novels and the game, and the writers are going a different direction, and he wasn't happy with that. So if he wanted to play both Superman and that, he could have. They could have made that work, especially on the Netflix schedule, because Netflix doesn't work on a TV schedule. They release when they want to release. So I think the idea that he left The Witcher to be Superman, there's some fallacy there.
There may be some of that it was like, well, I'm going to leave this where I'm already unhappy to go and do that on spec. Mm-hmm. James, he didn't leave to go play Superman on spec. He was either promised something or he left because he was going to leave anyway. And if you really dig into the disclosures from Netflix, and you have to dig, which I did last night because I had insomnia and I was bored. His contract was for 2 seasons with options for up to 5 more. So it wasn't like he had a 8-season contract. He had 2-season contract, and then they were going to have to renew every time they renewed the show. Mm-hmm. So they renewed him for the 3rd season. And then they were going to have to sit down and renew him for a 4th if there was going to be one. Yeah. So now, instead of he quit, it was his contract was up. Right? So now he's like, I can sit down and negotiate with Netflix, who I'm guessing is a tougher bargain than Warner Brothers DC at that time. or he can just take his chances and go play Superman. And oh, by the way, he was Superman in Black Adam. Like, no one lied. He was back playing Superman. It was a cameo in one movie, but nobody lied.
Yeah.
So
and they did try. They did look at doing another Man of Steel. They had a pitch come in from Chuck Roven, who was a producer on Man of Steel, and it was a pitch they didn't like. So they did move forward in good faith. It's just now, and all of that happened before Gunn and Safran were hired. So, I mean, you can look at, there's a lot of negativity here, and I can see how people could be upset. And I was upset because I like Henry Cavill. I have liked him since I saw him in The Tudors. I looked at him there and went, that guy's going to be a star. It's the same thing when I was watching the Star Trek movie with Chris Pine, and I see this guy playing his dad in the beginning, and I went, well, that guy's going to be a star, because on-screen presence. Now,
Henry Cavill is going to walk away from this and win an Oscar in 2 years, I guarantee it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of things he could do. He's got a new series coming out, the Department of Ungentlemanly Affairs or Ungentlemanly Things, which is basically the first Black Ops unit that was created by Winston Churchill and Ian Fleming. That looks fantastic. It's going to open him up to as many movie roles. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up in the third Rian Johnson mystery movie, because he does seem, he's already hired Chris Evans and Dave Bautista, so he likes hiring these big, heroic actors to play opposite of their stuff. So, yeah. Question for the panel: why should Cavill go?
Where should Cavill go in the MCU? Hyperion, Wonder Man, Sentry?
Okay, problem one is Wonder Man's already been cast.
Right.
He's actually going to be the guy playing Black Manta, which makes me pretty sure that he won't be playing Black Manta again, that after Aquaman 2, we probably Jason Momoa. So we'll lose Jason Momoa. I don't necessarily think he should play Hyperion or Sentry. I don't think he should play a Superman character. He's already played Superman. Why would he want to go and play the exact same thing? He could go in and play Colossus in an X-Men reboot. Or, I mean, hell, he could be a very tall Wolverine. We've already had a tall Wolverine.
I think I would rather him play an agent of some kind.
He could play an agent.
He could play a Nick Fury in an alternate world, or, because it's already Sam Jackson. I don't know who he would play, which agent he would play, but he'd be a SHIELD agent or something to that effect, a government type.
Yeah.
And I think that would be fine, because you're never going to see him on screen and not go, didn't that guy used to be Superman?
Well, we see him as The Witcher, and you don't think of him as Superman.
I don't see him as The Witcher and not think of him as Superman. Of course, I also don't see him as The Witcher.
Shave him for a muscly Xavier. Nice. Captain Britain. A lot of people are saying Captain Britain, that's just because he's British. What about Union Jack?
You know where he should wind up? In the Star Wars universe.
What if they did an Invaders series? They brought back Chris Evans for it and Tenoch Huerta as Namor, and they cast a Human Torch, and they bring him in as Union Jack. And we said it during World War II. It'd be awesome.
I don't mind this. I don't mind Triple B's guess. Triple B's,
yeah.
Mr. Sinister would be solid.
Oh yeah, he'd be a good villain. What about Dr. Doom?
I need somebody more menacing than Dr. Doom.
How about Reed Richards?
I could see him as Reed Richards, and the story broke yesterday that John Krasinski confirmed there have been no conversations about him continuing in the MCU. So
Peyton Reed has said he's already seen some of the artwork for Fantastic Four.
Right. So and then you wouldn't have to cover up the Moneymaker. You just have to whiten the temples a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, look, we're going to take aren't there multiple multiverse storylines for Superman?
Sure.
Yeah. And I heard this crazy fan theory from some lunatic saying that.
We'll talk about it after the break.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we will come right back. Trivia question time. Trivia question. Okay. Let's see. True or false? The Supreme Intelligence is the leader of the Skrull race. Be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Comic Collectibles is a pretty straightforward show. You got Rex here, he sells the comics, and you got Rockin' Robbie, he knows about the comics. And finally, John, no one really knows what John does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great guy, but he just keeps showing up. Come to think of it, I don't even really know how he gets in here. Anyway, awesome comics, rare books, rarer signatures, slabbed books, and amazing cover sketches by Ken Hazer and others. Simple formula, you want the comics, you buy the comics. To sum up, Rex sells the comics, Robbie knows the comics, and John, who might possibly be a ghost. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever seen him show up or leave? Comic Collectibles with Rex and John, Mondays from 6 to 8 Eastern on The Experience. Comic Culture and Sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
I am artist and writer of Plume, and right now I am working on The House of Lothar. It is a rehabilitation center for cryptids, so check it out. It's on Webtoons. And you are watching me on The Experience.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We are talking about the news breaking that James Gunn is writing the next Superman movie and that Henry Cavill is out. We did a trivia question before the break, so let's see if anybody got it. The question was, true or false, the Supreme Intelligence is the leader of the Skrull race. Anybody get that?
What was the name of the lead alien from Third Rock from the Sun?
Don't remember. JD is correct. That is false. The Supreme Intelligence is the leader of the Kree race. So, all right, guys.
Every time I hear Supreme Intelligence, I think of the head alien from Third Rock from the Sun that was played by William Shatner.
All right. Before we get into it, let's talk about the lineup for the rest of the day. We are followed by What's in the Box, where Jenna is going to be doing a special tour of Space Cadets. So running down everything that's in the store, letting you guys see things. And then after that, there's going to be the show Space Cadets, which is Jenna and her crew talking about a lot of new things, a lot of pop culture things, including the return of Scotty Young's I Hate Fairyland. And that's it for tonight. Henri moved to Wednesday. We do have a new show debuting on Thursdays, but that will be starting after the new year. Mint Hunter, Big Giant Head.
That was the head alien.
And tomorrow, I want to point out that we're doing another special original art show where there'll be another one of Carol Flynn's shirts that she used to make for George Perez. So there'll be that. There's some other stuff going on for George Perez, and there's 6 giveaways tomorrow. So I want to check out the original art show tomorrow.
JD or Jay, do you want to do the original art show tomorrow so I don't have to with 6 giveaways?
Just give them all to me. That way you won't have to worry about it.
Well, a couple weeks ago, we did 2 giveaways, and they both went to Kenneth Bird.
Nice.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So Kyle hit me up with a theory of what he thinks James Gunn is doing. And I'm going to let him tell the theory.
So I have this crazy fan theory. And if I'm right, I should bet money. I should play the lottery. But I think James Gunn is the kind who recognizes that the only way he's going to be able to make the movies he needs to make is if he gets everybody off of his case for a little bit. And the way he's doing that is by telling Henry Cavill to go say he's not going to be Superman anymore. And so what you're going to get from this movie is you're going to get the entire origin story from Krypton to grown-uphood in a 2-hour movie. And you're going to spend your whole time thinking, okay, I like this new Superman. I can get behind this. And then the post-credit scene is going to be Henry Cavill as Superman announcing his return, like in the movie, because it's just enough to get everyone off of his back to say he's gone. Reset expectations, let him make the movie he needs to make to kick off his tenure, and then give you the guy back that you want, but only at the very end, setting up a movie down the line.
I'm going to counter this. First thing he said is not an origin story.
Okay, well, I'm not 6'3", but
yeah,
it doesn't make any bit of difference. I am.
What if they do the death of Superman? Henry Cavill is killed by Doomsday in the very beginning. We end up with 4 different Supermen in the movie. And it leads into a sequel where Cavill comes back.
As long as Shaquille O'Neal plays Steel, I'm here for it.
Idris Elba as Steel.
Also acceptable.
Yes. Chris Evans as the Eradicator.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea. I really do. And this is something that I've been saying to people too, is that James Gunn is the kind of person who will misdirect you by lying to you.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, hey, look over here while I'm working over here. So, hey, look over here. We're going to get a new Superman. We're going to get a new Superman. Well, actually, we're already shooting with this Superman over here, so we're going to go with it. You know, like he's going to try to misdirect you because it's the only way to reset expectations. The problem DC has is the same problem a politician who is much better than their opponent has. You have to lower expectations in case you underperform. So the only way to reset expectations is to give people something that they're shocked about. So you tell them one thing and then do the opposite. So you tell them you're replacing Henry Cavill and you even cast somebody else to be Superman. And they're Superman for 3/4 of the movie. And then boom, at the end, it's Reign of the Supermen and there everybody's back. Okay.
It's possible.
Shocked me, and I'm not easily shockable.
Yeah. I would have agreed that was I mean, I would have agreed that it was at least in the possibility range. Not the probability range, but the possibility range. Except Cavill came out last night and posted his goodbye, talking about mourning. He is no longer going to be Superman. His time in the Cape is done. And while Gunn may try to bait and switch. Cavill doesn't.
Well, and that's the other thing. And I think every tweet that's ever sent by anyone should include the words "for now." Right? Like, whenever we see anything in this industry where this is a definitive thing, it should really say "for now." Because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You never know what stories are going to present itself, what IP is going to find its way to the script writers, and what, in the end, what's going to be best for the characters. So Henry Cavill may, in fact, really be done. It may not be a bait and switch, although that's my crazy fan theory. It may not be. But there's always the possibility that they need somebody to play Old Man Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Earth 6 Superman, where he's 60 years old. Well, now Henry Cavill's perfect for the role. We don't know what's coming, and we don't know what's in James Gunn's head.
Yeah.
All we know is what we know about this movie. Yeah, Kingdom Come Superman. There's a lot of opportunities that we could bring him, that he could be brought back to salvage the two worlds. And with that in mind, I think getting prematurely upset about it is just fueling the fire that already exists that DC can't win.
Yeah. Look, the bottom line is that people walk away from projects. People leave projects. People are removed from projects. Before Daniel Craig became James Bond, Pierce Brosnan wasn't done. He thought he had another movie.
And then Daniel Craig said he was done and then came back for 2 more.
Yeah. And now he's done. Or is he?
For now.
Yeah. And they're talking about trying to find something like a 30-year-old. Where did Kyle go? Somebody stole Kyle. JD, where did Kyle go? Now I'm starting to think, am I on the air?
My internet freaked out.
Okay.
I'm back. JD seems to be gone. Now JD's back.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to talk to JD to find out where you were.
My internet freaked out. I just had to refresh my page.
Okay. But think about this. There's some interesting opportunities here. First, when you look at the director, I wouldn't be surprised if Gunn brings in somebody from Marvel to direct Superman.
As long as it's not Taika Waititi.
No, the first name that came to mind for me, Peyton Reed.
Yes.
I would absolutely love to see Peyton Reed helm a Superman movie. I think because, you look at the Ant-Man movies and you look at what James Gunn does, they're about heart, they're about family, and there's action and story and stuff. I could see the two of them working great together on a Superman movie and having that feel that a Superman movie is supposed to have. And I've been wondering why Peyton Reed isn't doing Fantastic Four. Well, maybe he's because he's going to do Superman.
Maybe Peyton Manning is going to do Fantastic Four.
Maybe Peyton Manning will be Superman.
I'd rather see Peyton Manning as Reed Richards.
I'd rather see him as Brainiac. He's got the skull.
Well, Peyton Manning's forehead already extends and it's already elastic like Reed Richards.
He should be the leader.
Yes. Cast it.
They already have the leader, though. Tim Blake Nelson. But Peyton
also
Manning,
very good as the leader.
Yeah.
But, no, I have this sneaking suspicion. And it's only because this is the way I think James Gunn would approach this problem. That everything that's done from here on out is going to be to usurp expectations. Right? It's going to be to do the opposite of whatever everyone has done thus far. So instead of doing super dark and super serious Batman, super dark and super serious Superman, you're going to see a lot more of the George Reeves style Superman and the 1960s Adam West style Batman, where the humor and the heart are still there, and the dark, I wish to not be alive anymore, grunge, awful, that has only existed in the DC universe since Jim Lee got there, will go away.
I think Gunn is going to play in his corner. He's going to leave Matt Reeves to do Matt Reeves stuff. I don't think we'll get another Joker after the sequel. I think you get the one sequel and that's it. But yeah, I think they're going to go lighter, and I think Gunn is a good choice for it. And I have a feeling Gunn is going to be probably working on the scripts for most movies. He may not be the writer for all of them, but he's going to be on the story. I think that's how he's going to be kind of the Kevin Feige role, except he's going to be more involved in the writing and picking the directors. I think they're going to pick directors who can do more lighthearted stuff, But yeah, there's a bunch of Marvel directors who aren't directing anything over at Marvel anymore. Peyton Reed is wrapping up Ant-Man. Joe Johnston, imagine bringing him back to do a Superman movie. He did The Rocketeer and he did Captain America, the First Avenger.
I would love to see what the Russos could do with these pieces.
Yeah, that would be another interesting choice. And the Russos have said that they won't be coming back for a long time to Marvel. James Smith says, sounds good. Batman and Swamp Thing aside, I don't understand the whole dark take with DC.
I don't really understand it for Batman either.
Yeah.
And I can make a phone call. Not that anyone will tell me anything, but there's a certain director who just directed a certain terrible Doctor Strange movie, who I would be very interested in seeing play in the Batman universe.
That would be interesting. So, yeah.
So the reason I was originally going to come on the show, Dan, and we could talk about this for the last few minutes after. Do we have to take another break? We do, don't we?
Yes.
We can talk about it after that. Is DC's write-off numbers, their investment write-off numbers came out, and it's a significantly higher number than anyone expected.
Yeah. All right. So let's do another trivia question before we go to break. After his death, who revives the Punisher and turns him into a Frankenstein-like monster? We'll be right back.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find a link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Since nobody got the answer correct so far, there are three options. I'll give you three options, multiple choice. After his death, who revives the Punisher and turns him into a Frankenstein-like monster? Is it A, the Jackal, B, Morbius, C, MODOK?
Captain Lou Albano.
All right. We were looking yesterday at these huge write-off numbers. And again, I think a lot of what's going on with DC has to be attributed to the cash flow problem, them trying to get rid of debt. Naughty already had it. Morbius remade him into the undead. You're correct. So, so getting rid of some actors and directors who are expensive makes a lot of sense. Gal Gadot was going to cost $20 million for Wonder Woman 3. Patty Jenkins was going to cost $12 million. So you're walking in with $32 million on a movie budget before you even roll cameras. You could go and get a new actor, start over, because it's the property, not the actor in a lot of these cases. And that said, I agree with you guys. I hate that Henry Cavill is no longer Superman. I really like him as an actor. I like him as Superman. I liked him in the Man from U.N.C.L.E. reboot. So
that's what we need with Henry Cavill.
More
Man British Avengers.
Nice.
Yeah. Not superhero Avengers, the spy drama. But for those of you in the comments who don't know what we're talking about. So here's the interesting thing about these numbers, Dan. And it's why I want to talk about them. So in the first year of an acquisition like this, projects that were started and invested in under the previous ownership can be written off almost to no limit under U.S. tax code.
Yeah.
So
just like Wonder Woman 3.
No. Wonder Woman 3 to an extent, to the money spent thus far.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about Batgirl, all $90 million is tax deductible now. So this is a company in Discovery that has spent $11 billion or whatever that number was to merge as part of the merger.
Mm-hmm.
They had an $11 billion cash influx. They're going to get taxed on the capital gains from gaining Warner Brothers and DC. So to write that off, they have to cancel as much as they can. So the number that came out is $3.5 billion. And I think that number is low. But here's what makes that number interesting, right? Batgirl is only $90 million.
Yeah.
That's not a lot. No, Rubenstein, it's not. It has to be, for it to count as, like, there's a limit to what you're talking about. Unlimited money is stuff that they never see a profit from. They can never see any return on investment from.
Yeah, so, even as simple as putting it on HBO Max because they might get subscribers from it, so it wouldn't count.
Even as much as giving it to the experience to put on our YouTube channel would make it not. My understanding is, and again, I hear you, but if they make money, it goes into a different category on the sheet. If they can make any money at all. Even if they still lose the money, it goes into a different category and gets a different process.
Yeah, for some reason it's called a write down instead of a write off. So I don't know if that makes a difference, but they're always referring to it as a write down.
But the interesting thing to me, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, is to get to that number, how many projects that we've never heard of were in development? How many projects that we've never seen, oh, this thing is going into production, or oh, they're casting this thing, or oh, they hired this writer, were in development that they canceled to get to that number? Then it has to be an astronomical amount. Because you would think a movie that's basically done in Batgirl would be the high end of that number. So to get to $3.5 billion from $90 million, the amount of stuff they've had to cut that was already, the check was written for
Yep.
is just baffling to me.
Yeah. A lot of their decisions are based on trying to offload the debt that Warner Brothers had. Warner Brothers was a mess. And like I said, they just lost Legendary, who was the big backer for a lot of these heroic films, superhero films. So Warner Brothers is in financial trouble. So that's part of some of the decision making is how they're going to afford to be able to do these movies.
Right. And like some of this money is like they had already written the next season of Westworld and then decided they didn't want more.
Right.
So that's a chuck it out the window. They already had written another season of The Nevers. Gone. Like
yes, JD. Legendary is bringing money from China.
Yeah. So like there's this level of what don't we know? And if we knew about everything, how much worse would it sting now? The little bit we do know. You have to match expenses with revenues to some degree, so they'd have to spread the expenses over years, but they would all be claimed over a few years. But it's that initial investment when you make that purchase.
This is within the first year. It's a special category, they're saying.
Right.
By the way, he says I'm an accountant. Right. I read that like Steve Martin in A Little Shop of Horrors. I'm an accountant. Yes, right. Son be a dentist. Yeah.
It's the same thing where I'm saying when I bought my comic book store, every dime I put towards paying off.
Did we lose Kyle again? Naughty says, I wonder if Gunn is pulling a hatchet job, then Time Warner can fire sale DCU. You're back vocally, but not visually.
I was going to say, I liked him better this way, but then he started talking again.
Yeah. He is pulling a bit of a hatchet job to try to clear up some stuff, but I think Zaslav is doing the hatcheting. But Zaslav has said they don't plan on selling. There was a lot of rumor for a while that the idea was to get rid of as much debt as possible and then sell it to Apple. And maybe there's some truth to that, but they've debunked that claim. So
what I was saying is every dime I put into paying off the capital from the bank or the loan that my business partner was carrying or any of that kind of stuff, I got back as a tax write-off, as a tax deduction, but only for that first year. So that's what this is they're killing this stuff to put the money back into the coffers, essentially.
Yeah. And they're also doing that with TV shows. They're taking shows off the air. Westworld is coming off. The Nevers is coming off. They canceled the second season of Minx after it's already been made. And they're doing this stuff. They're going to package a lot of these shows for a third party, what they call a FAST, which is a free streaming service that's commercial based. And they're going to package and sell these because they're broke. I mean, they need the money to produce. They can only produce X number of movies a year. They have to, like Freebie, they have to come up with some revenue now, especially with Legendary gone.
Yeah.
I hope you're being sarcastic, Jay. Gotham Knights looks like just the biggest turd. They give Batman a new son. Not any of the characters we've ever heard before. Not Dick Grayson, not Damian Wayne, nothing. Just a brand new character.
Son with an O.
Yeah.
I was hoping you meant son with a U so you'd be less pale.
Well, he doesn't get out during the day much.
I just think, and this is what's funny about these corporate mergers and then these fire sales and these things that are happening right now at DC, is that all of the stuff that they've been keeping under wraps, all of the projects you didn't know were being made, all of the places they were losing money that they didn't want you to know they were losing money, it all comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant, except for corporate merger. And so it lets us see the way it had been mismanaged over the past few years.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily mean like mismanaged in the sense of, oh, they weren't doing the right thing by the characters, but they were developing things that are now being determined to not be worthy of even telling us.
Yeah. By the way, guys, since we're all here, we're having a good conversation. Do me a favor, hit that like button, the thumbs up button. If you're on Twitch, I don't know what you do on Twitch. Maybe
there's a little robot thingy.
Or have a seizure or whatever it is. I don't know. But you'll do that for me. I'd appreciate it. Naughty says, if they're broke, why cancel Cavill? Huge money-making opportunity. Because Cavill is expensive.
Huge expenditure.
Yeah.
If you're going to make... we talked about this already. If you're going to make a $100 million movie, Henry Cavill's salary is half.
Yeah. Where you can get James Gunn to write the script. He's going to do it for a cheaper rate because he's producing, putting this stuff together. And hello, Danilo. From Canada, huh?
And then you can cast a nobody for $2 million instead of $52 million.
And you can get them on a 7-picture deal or a 5-picture deal, and they're up and coming, and they, so it's early days of Robert Downey Jr., not later on where half of your budget is just bringing him in for a cameo.
Right. It's Robert Downey Jr. on SNL, not Robert Downey Jr. in Spider-Man.
Yes. All right, guys, that is our show for today. Remember to stick around for What's in the Box. Jenna is going to be walking us around Space Cadets and give you guys a good look at what's going on. Then there's an episode of Space Cadets with Jenna and her crew. And that wraps up the evening. We will be back. I'll be back on Tuesday next week, where we'll talk about more Willow and whatever else is Warner Brothers is doing. So... good to see everybody. Hey, Dan and Kyle in the chat. Have to hit like and catch a hungry wine. Good to see you, CJ. Triple B, all you guys, thanks for coming in. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Good night, everybody.
Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Do you remember what it was like when you were a little kid and you got a letter in the mail? Now imagine that letter was filled with information about your favorite shows, pop culture questions, links to things you're going to want to see later, and even sneak peeks at upcoming programming here on The Experience. That's what the EXP mailing list is. Every week, we send you sneak peeks, information, and all of the relevant links for all of the shows you want to see. Sign up now on our website or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now.